we have no politics whatsoever in our case, because we are creating everything. We are hiring those who are interested in working with us on these ideas. Now, so at York, we currently have those 4 programs. They're all accredited programs: computer, software, space, and geomatics. They are more or less, they are rather boutique programs, including space engineering is the only program in Canada, by the way, a strong program. And we are creating right away. We've already gotten approvals, so we may actually, depending how quickly we'll be able to hire people, we have those 4 programs coming aboard right away. And the others that we'll see, depending how the evolution of these other programs is going to go, we're going to have these programs as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change the way how we teach and how we interact with students. And I mentioned to you, we're going to embrace, by the way, this flipping the classroom concept. So we will not teach the way that a lot of lectures are being done right now, that you have one professor and 200 or 400 students sitting in a lecture hall, and then they listen to a lecture, and then they go home and solve problems. It's not working anymore. Well, we're going to flip it. What we're going to do is we are creating a partnership with MIT. And in fact, MIT and Harvard, they just announced last week, I believe, the $60 million project that they will expand onto this open courseware. They have a terrific set of classes in fundamental engineering, heat transfer, mass transfer, partial differential equations, and so on. Excellent, absolutely excellent classes taught by the best people in their fields. So why would we need to repeat those lectures if we have them available? I mean, it's a matter of creating a partnership. So rather than for our students to come to the university and take those lectures and being one in a group of 400 and never having an opportunity to interact tete-a-tete with a professor, we want them to take lectures wherever they are. Could be in a cafeteria, on a well, not on a plane perhaps, but on a bus, on a train, at home, and when they come to the university, we want them to focus on solving problems with professors in smaller groups, no more than maybe 10, 15. In a smaller classrooms, we don't need those lecture halls anymore. What we want is we want them to focus on solving problems. We want them to teach about ethics, professional integrity, creativity, about how to analyze and synthesize things, how to express yourself, how to communicate with others. Those are the things that really matter in life. And this generation is well prepared to do so, because this is, if you look at children, that's how they interact with the world, via wireless devices, or this is how they communicate among themselves. So it will be natural for them to do so. Now, so it means, if that's the case, you have to have facilities to accommodate it. So we're building a new engineering complex. It's very nicely located at York, just overseeing a beautiful pond. So we call it an engineering acropolis. It's a big complex, 400,000 square feet. And we told the architects that we don't want lecture halls, and we don't really need them. Not those big ones. What we want is we want to have spaces, kind of social spaces, so students are going to learn via interacting with one another and with the professor as well. Well, this way, they are going to have much better contact and relationship with professors. And again, it's not easy to change the mentality and perception of well-established professors that are used to different kind of interacting with students. So we are in a good position because we're going to hire those who are prepared to do so, those who really have will be able to establish a rapport with students. But the other facet of what we're doing is the different engineering program. You see, what we want to do really is to establish an engineering program or a paradigm at York that will link our 3 professional schools: the Lasson School of Engineering, the Schulich School of Business, and the Osgood Hall Law School. So essentially, what it is, and by the way, we had quite a few conversations with the accreditation body, the Canadian Engineering Accreditation Board, because we wanted to make sure that the board is also interested in this concept and supporting it, because we want to make sure that all programs are accredited. Well, they in fact, they are quite enthusiastic about it seems. So what it is, in fact, engineering students will be exposed to business education and law from the outset, from year 1. So it will be embedded in this education will be embedded in their engineering program. Now, so after 4.5 years, and it's going to take 4.5 years because we're going to have a full core program. So after 4.5 years, when they get an engineering degree, if they wish so, they will be able to stay seamlessly at York and get MBA from Schulich. And if they still are interested in collecting another degree, they will be able to stay for the next 2 semesters and get a JD degree from Osgood. So it will be a terrific opportunity for this next generation of students to be exposed to the education in many different professional fields. Now, by the way, it doesn't really matter if you have all those 3 degrees or so. What matters is that when you graduate as an engineer, you're not just going to go out and look for a job. Our engineers will be able to go out and create jobs because they will be prepared as future entrepreneurs. Now, it's very fitting, perhaps, to comment, because we had a wonderful evening last night at Casa Loma. We were celebrating a donation of our own alumnus, and we are creating a project. We've got $4 million for this project. We call it BEST. It's an acronym of Bergeron Entrepreneurs in Science and Technology. Bergeron, that's the name of our alumnus. So it's a terrific opportunity. It's an investment in entrepreneurship. Now, so the principles of what we do are truly partnerships. The word partnership is everywhere. It's partnership with industry, with the government, with business community, with other academic institutions, international partnerships as well. These 3 elements of entrepreneurship, leadership, and integrity, we believe we will be able to achieve via partnering with those other professional schools. Now, international exposure is fundamental, and I said that this is one of the driving forces. But the other, in the 21st century engineering, but the other one is to look at people as they are, as human beings. You see, currently we admit students to our programs based almost exclusively on their academic achievements, their grades, marks that they received in a high school. And I believe that it is wrong. because this is just one element of what we should be looking at. We have other passions, and we have other interests, we have other hobbies, and we have to look at people as they are. So we are going to change the way how we admit students. And if somebody will be complaining that, well, these guys, we accept students only at 89 plus average. I have absolutely no problem accepting a student with 81 or perhaps 80 the average, as long as I can see that one is interested and passionate about getting education. I mean, if you and it was not easy, by the way, for me to convince my colleagues that that's what we should do, because the tendency in academia is to really push it, and if you are accepting only above 90, then it's supposed to be better than if somebody is accepting students at 80 or so. This is all wrong, because if you look at those who are very successful in life now, by the way, including our own wealthy alumnus, they were B- students. I can see a few students today, so I'm not going to say that some of them were perhaps C+, but that's the reality. You see, what your student body needs to do is it's got to reflect the nature of the society and the character of the society that we live in. So that's exactly how we will be trying to do. So sometimes I use this motto that what we are doing, we're going to strive to generate or to create the next generation of entrepreneurial engineers, and truly with a social conscience. This social consciousness is very important. You can see, if you saw what was happening or still is happening in Quebec, then it's very important for us to understand how the new generation of our students is looking at the society, how they look at us, and we have to find solution. And the only solution is to find it via consensus. There's no replacement for face-to-face conversation. That's the only way that we will be able to achieve it. So what we are saying is really our goal is to focus on those Renaissance engineers. It was Pierre Lassonde's late wife. She proposed this term, and we are embracing it. Not just that because Pierre is to a degree our patron, but and a friend and a colleague as well. But because we like it. I mean, this is exactly what we really want to do. We want our students not just to know and understand the sustainability. We want them to practice. Now, there is a say that if you tell me, I forget. If you show me, I remember. If you let me do it, I will understand. So we want our students to let them do things, practice things. We want them to understand the world. In order to do so, you have to understand what are the main cultures and religions in the world. We have to make sure that you speak in more than one language. In Canada, it's a little bit easier, of course, but it is an important element for us. And we want them to be global citizens, or citizens. Global, by the way, it's a word that the young generation may not like very much, but the citizens that understand what's happening in the world right now. Now, so look, it's a bold statement that we are truly not here meaning in this business, so to speak, of the next engineering academic enterprise. We're not here to test the waters. Our ambition is to make waves. And the only way to do so is to do it with people like you, with our students, with our faculty members, with our colleagues from other institutions as well. Now, so let me finish, because I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions or offer comments. Let me finish with what I heard some time ago when I read a book about Henry Ford, a very successful entrepreneur himself. So what he said is that coming together is beginning, and then thinking together is progress, and working together is success. So I hope that we will have an opportunity to work together. I hope that you will have an opportunity to work together today during your conference. So with very best wishes to you, that I thank you so much for your attention this morning. Would you like to handle some questions? Or? Absolutely, if anybody. Please, Santosh. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kozinski. It was very thought-provoking and very eye-opening address by you, and I'm really proud to envision that the engineering acropolis at York has got very innovative objectives and programs to establish. I'm particularly elated by the fact that your ultimate objective is achieving gender parity, pardon me. Yes. And as a member of the profession and also being a counselor at the PEO, I'm elated to imagine that, well, there'll be 1,000 women engineers, 1,000 and plus, very soon. So that's great. So thank you very much for this thought-provoking and informative address. Now, my question to you is, sir, what are your plans to tap into the younger generation, the prospective engineers, let's say high school students or even lower grade students? And have you ever thought of approaching the local engineering chapters through which you can spread the word around? Thank you.
Yes, the answer, of course, is yes, because as I mentioned, that our principle is built around partnerships. So it is a partnership with the chapter, but it's a partnership with high schools, in fact, with elementary schools as well. What we had done, by the way, is we created a corps of engineering ambassadors, our own students, and students from other institutions. In fact, we have a few students from UOIT working with us. What we did is we empowered them to spread the message about this project at high schools. And they went to elementary schools as well. They went to Aboriginal communities, and in order for people to learn about this opportunity. So what we are going to do is we're going to create partnerships with several high schools. We can't do too much until formally we will begin our existence, so to speak, on July 1st. But let me assure you that with this group of people, we've already gotten several projects in place. What we would like to do is to perhaps meet with the chapters, engineering chapters in the region. And what we've done not long ago is we had a day workshop. We call it the envisioning of the Renaissance engineer, when we invited colleagues from professional organizations I can see some of you that participated in it. We invited people from academia, from other institutions as well. So it was the first, so to speak, round table. What we would like to do is create more of those round tables in order to listen to other ideas and modify ours. By the way, but also influence other colleagues to adopt our ideas. Yes.
Dr. Kozinski, my name is Thomas Chong. I'm here to be your testimonial. You know, York University has been a great partner with the York chapter of PO, and I have been a mentor for the last 4 years, and mentoring, you know, the final year engineering students with Dr. George Sue's group. At 1 year, one of my students won the the York the York University Design Challenge. They have a design challenge every year. So it has been a great partnership, and we would like to continue with that. And this is a great testimonial for the partnership, the initiative from York University and PEO. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's a very kind comment indeed. Please.
Hello, Dr. Kozinski. Thank you very much for your wonderful overview. I was not aware, certainly, of this initiative at York University. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's better. Thank you very much. I wasn't aware of this initiative, and it certainly sounds like it has a great deal of promise. As an engineer who practices entrepreneurially myself, I've created my own jobs for almost 10 years now. And I'm very interested in this concept, this model that you have. A lot of the learning sounds like it'll be done virtually. And I'm just wondering, do you anticipate challenges in trying to bring people together in teams physically to solve problems?
Well, but there will be many different challenges, no doubt. And particularly if you do something relatively new, you have to be prepared to be flexible in solving them. Now, with regards to in virtual education, so to speak, what we would like to do is it will be mostly taking lectures, not learning per se, because learning per se will be in smaller groups. So it will be people that will be collaborating together on solving things that typically they would be solving alone or so in outside the campus. So what we did is we decided to, at least initially, adopt some of the models that are working very well. There's one terrific place at Stanford University. We went there not long ago, just a few weeks ago. It's called the D School, the Design School. That is exactly how they work. They just come to the place and they naturally evolve into individual teams that work on a particular idea, on a particular solution, and then in parallel there is another group, and then another group. It's like, and it's seamlessly working and very quickly. It's like a parallel computing because you do a lot of things at the same time. Now, if you go and see how successful companies are working, and I went to see Pixar. Pixar, it's one of the most successful film studio. They do animated movies, and they were created by, they were in a current form. They were created by Steve Jobs, and this is more or less the concept that they embrace. It's only open space. There are no offices whatsoever. You just come and work together. And what you do, the key is always to have a discussion. In fact, when I went to see how Google and Apple how they work, is that they don't like the word of brainstorming. They say brainstorming is not good, because what you do, you just sit around the table and you have an idea, and then another fellow has an idea, and everybody sticks to your own ideas, and then you create your own fields, and it's very difficult to maneuver outside that field, or you create your own comfort zone. What they do is they created something they call plussing. Plussing is interesting because it's based on offering a healthy critique. So if you say something, then my role is to show deficiencies in your opinions, in your ideas, but in a positive way. So it is something that you may not understand completely, but there's a lot of elements that are very good, and then I would build a little bit on that, and then another fellow would build, and another and another. So it's a very interesting concept. By the way, it works. These companies, I mean, they are terrific companies. They are not necessarily academia, because in academia, by the way, in addition to, of course, being entrepreneurial and teaching entrepreneurship, and in addition to just at the end finding a job, what's really important, and that's our role, is to make sure that students, they know a lot about critical thinking. There is a self-discovery is very important, or seeking knowledge. Those are the things that we will be pursuing as well. But we have to be very practical, in my opinion, about what is the outcome of the education. Because if our graduates, as a lot of graduates from many engineering schools, including myself, by the way, when we graduated, we went to industry to learn what really engineers are doing, rather than doing it in academia.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello.
Yes.
I studied forest engineering at UNB, and your description reminded me a lot of my educational experience. And my employment career has kind of followed that Renaissance engineer. And one of the consequences of that is that I've actually worked with very few engineers. And that was a struggle for registration as a professional, as well as continuing education. And I was curious if you envision York having any kind of elements to support the graduates afterwards, especially if they're entrepreneurial or applying more of the business law skill sets in their application of their work, to still have an engineering identity, as well as, like I said, the continuing education requirements when you are doing a lot more diversified problem solving or policy work, and not traditional design work where you're surrounded by engineers on a regular basis. Like I'm the only engineer in my whole ministry, it feels like. And that isolation really makes it difficult to feel like you're a practicing engineer, but you provide a lot of diversification and value to your organization because you do have that different background.
Yes, by the way, it's nothing wrong if you're the only engineer. Always, it would be better to have a few more souls that maybe think or educated in a similar way. In our case, by the way, I totally recognize the fact that our profession is a regulated profession. So we, upon graduation, it's very important that we will partner with PO, that we become professional engineers, and because this is a part of who we are as engineers. So what we had done is we created a network of companies, mostly in New York region area. There are a lot of small and medium-sized companies. We've got 128 of them in order to make sure that we will be able to give an opportunity to our students to not just to practice engineering during their school time. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're going to have a base that these students, upon graduation, they will be able to contribute to the economy, either via joining these companies or simply creating their own. So what we did is we created a venture capital fund. It's at the moment it's around $2.5 million to invest in ventures of our own students. So this way, what we would like to do is we would like to create a situation that more than one, more than two, more than five perhaps, of our own graduates, if they are interested, if they are truly, if their calling is to be entrepreneurs, we're going to make it a little bit easier for them at the beginning. There's nothing better than having a seed funding or an angel investor at the beginning of your entrepreneurial life. So we would like to be considered as such, as a kind of a angel investor as well. Yes, yeah, it's yes, absolutely. It's your floor.
Yes, sorry, I'm going to have to stop the questions at this point because we got other. I know this is a fascinating subject. I'm glad to see the questions. Dean Kozinski is going to be around here for the rest of the morning and through lunch, and so I hope you can find him and ask your questions at that time. But at this time, I'd like to thank Dean Kozinski.